Oh boy. I fell down the rabbit hole. So last night I was playing with GPT-4 and it's one of the craziest things that I've used in a long time. It actually reminds me of, hold on one sec. So this whole AI craze and everything that's going on recently, I've not seen this kind of like hype and craze with such a new technology in a long time. And after spending some time last night with it to develop a application in a few hours, it reminds me of when the iPhone OS first came out, iOS came out, where you could actually run third-party apps on the iPhone. iOS 3 iOS 3 was when I was developing apps, and it reminds me of the time when like everybody was kind of learning this new thing together. And this is kind of what I'm seeing or feeling with this AI stuff is people are creating and sharing and doing all this cool, fun new stuff, and it's amazing. So anyway, back to last night. I was working on this stuff and was realizing that so many people are interested in all of this AI stuff. I talked to probably a dozen business owners this last week who are all asking about different AI integrations. How can you use AI? How can we integrate ChatGPT? How can we make a chatbot? And seeing how there's such a cool collaborative effort on using GPT specifically to create new programs and iterate on ideas extremely fast, I figured why not build something in public and show everybody exactly kind of how I went through that exact process of learning how to get started, figuring out what I wanted to do through a use case, and then iterating until I had something that was actually working with a working application. And I'll show you really quickly like what I built last night in a few minutes. But so this weekend, I'm going to be building a live application, integrations with chatbots, being able to create a custom model based off of the information on your website, for instance. So there's lots of different ideas out there, and there's tons of different other ideas that people are working on. So I'm going to be posting some updates on my Instagram stories. I'm also going to be posting this entire video to YouTube. That's probably where you're watching this right now. But yeah, so stay tuned. Let's see what happens. All right, so to get started, we're going to need two different pieces of software or online accounts in order for us to make this work. Of course, we're going to need our ChatGPT OpenAI account, but we're also going to need to create a Replit account, which is what is going to allow us to run the code that ChatGPT generates for us. 10,000 foot level view of this is we're going to go to ChatGPT, ask it to write code. We're then going to copy and paste that over into Replit, which will allow us to render and run that code in our browser without having to download Python or deal with any crazy coding libraries and programs and stuff like that. So once you sign up and have those open, then we'll get rolling. All right. So once you have created your Replit account, we're gonna go create Replit, templates Python, and we can just test app with GPT. Create Replit, and so this is going to give us two kind of main windows here. This left-hand side is where the code is going to be written, and then the right-hand side is the console window, or where data is going to be exported for us to view or interact with. And so what we're going to do is we're going to basically go over here and write or ask GPT to write us code to do different things based off of a use case or whatever it may be. So now that you have your Replit account and the OpenAI ChatGPT account, we have to start thinking of what is the actual use case that we're going to be trying to effectively create with this code or this app that we're trying to build here. What if there was a way that I could go out and scrape the data from a web page, take all of that text from the web page and send it to GPT or OpenAI to then have it do its thing to spit out a list of question and answers that I could then use to upload to help train a bot to be better versed in the information about my company. So that's the genesis of the idea of what we're going to try to build. I want to be able to enter in a URL, and then I want to be able to get back a list of question and answers that was generated based off of the text that was scraped from the website. I guess that seems simple enough, but I don't know. Let's try to figure that out. So what are we going to ask GPT to write? So let's switch it to GPT-4. So we're working with the cap. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so this is crazy. They're lowering the cap like crazy. Yesterday was 100 messages every hour. This morning it was 50 messages every hour. Now it's 25 messages every 3 hours. That's ridiculous. All right, so we're going to ask it to write a simple Python script that will take the input of a website URL in any format from a user and then scrape. So if we just enter in one web page, we want to see if there's other links associated. So we should probably have it check for other links. So in any format from a user, and then scrape that website and make sure sub pages of the main. Then what are we going to do with that data? So then in the subpages list, then save the scraped data into a .txt file that is named the name of the subpage, and then put all of the .txt files into a folder named the URL, then print a list of the... That's a pretty ridiculous ask. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is telling us if we were using Python on our computer, we would need to install these libraries, but this will get installed in the shell in Python. So we can go over here, and we can click that, and then beautiful soup, enter, and that should work there. Perfect. Now I go back here. Okay, so now here's the script. Okay, so it's writing out the script. Okay, so this script will perform the following tasks: get the main URL from the user and validate it, scrape the main URL for all links, filter the links to only get subpages of the main URL, scrape the text of each subpage, save the scraped text into a text file named after the subpage, create a folder after the main URL and store the text files in it, print the list of subpages, then print all done. Okay, so that's exactly what I asked it for, and it did it in this. That's it? Okay, let's try it. So we're going to copy this. We're going to bring it over here. We're going to click paste. Okay, and then we're going to click run. Let's see what happens.
So it's going to install the libraries. And it should ask us to, okay.
So let's enter in Siri.co. Oh, wow. Okay, so there's a lot of duplicates. So we need to tell it to make sure that there's no duplicates of URL of subpages. So it looks like it's scraping them all. So let's stop that. But it did make a folder with a bunch of stuff, so it did work slightly. Let's delete that for this. Okay, so now using the code above, modify to ensure that there are no duplicates in the list of the subpages. Okay, so now here's the modified code to remove duplicates. That's so the def. Okay, so def get. Yep, so the get pages function is up here. Get subpages links. Get subpages links. That's right there. Okay. So now we can go here, get subpages links. Now we're going to go look for get subpages links. Let me make this smaller. Get subpages links. Main is the main URL. Let's try that. Okay, so we're going to run it. Sitewrite.co. There we go. Okay, so now it only lists full pages. Now it should be scraping it. And all done. Nice. Okay. So that actually worked. Okay, so now we can click into this folder. Okay, so blog, text, pricing. There's some, it looks like there's some weird characters. I don't see the home page. So now that's done. Let's add a function So it zips that folder. All right, so we're gonna take the code from there, modify the code above to include exporting the okay. Okay, so we're going to copy that. And this is going to be a full paste. We're going to run it. See what happens. Let's get rid of this so we can see when something new comes in. .co. Okay, and then we should see a zip folder here. And there's the zip folder. Amazing. Now we can download this, and then now we've got the zip folder. Get that out of the way. And would you look at that? Okay. Blog, contact tracing, software. Yeah, it's missing the home page. Here, okay. Make sure the code includes. So it's really interesting to see how you can add very like layman term instructions to the AI. Make sure the code above includes the home page and the subpage list of URLs to scrape and add to the folder. So I mean, it's relatively crude English, so to speak, and it's able to understand and know exactly what it is that I'm talking about, and then write code that satisfies it in seconds. Yeah, it's hitting me. It's pretty wild. So it looks like it's going to reprint the whole thing here. We're going to delete, run, paste, run. Be nice to, oh, that was fast. Okay. I was going to say it'd be nice to know, like have some sort of status message there. That'd be nice. There we go. There's the home page. Fantastic. Look at that. Love it. I mean, right there, that's pretty much, I mean, that's an incredibly good start, because now just based off this, we could take the homepage text. So let's take all this homepage text. Now we can go in here, paste it in here, and then type, using the text above, create a list of 10 question and answer pairs that would help a prospective client understand what site rate. Okay, so now the idea is like, if we can give this information to the AI automatically, like not having to copy and paste this in here manually, that would be even better. So this is how, just trying to figure out how to create iterations of the platform based off of the information. And this is just, this is absolutely perfect. This is, as you would expect. And this is the information that we can then use later down the line to help us figure out how to help a AI understand more about our business, to pseudo train a model for it to understand how to best respond to customers who are asking it questions. And that will be, and if you want to learn how to create the AI chatbot tutorial, we'll have that linked somewhere around here as well. And so you can see, like, for instance, this last question, how much can subscribers save on software expenses after switching to SiteRight? I know that is a part on the site. Where is it? Down here somewhere. Subscribers save an average of software. So it's like it was able to pull this and then create a question and answer pair based off of that information. So it would be great if we could then automate this for each for each page. So how do we do that? Let's figure that out. All right, so now that we know our next step, we want to be able to automate this process of creating the question answer pairs. How do we do that process? So could try to create a virtual server that could store data virtually and then send it to OpenAI to then wait for a response to then get the data that's received by OpenAI, store that in that library or dictionary, and then pull that data back down. So like, that's a lot. Or we could use Zapier. So we're gonna just try Zapier instead. So one of the cool things with Zapier is we have the ability to do webhooks. So with a webhook, we are basically creating a URL that we can have wait for information. It's kind of strange, but essentially what we can do is we can create a webhook, and this is going to generate this URL. And don't try copying this because this will be deleted by the time you watch this. Same with any API code that you might have seen. We're going to copy this URL, and this webhook URL is how we're going to be able to accept data from this little application that we're making over here. The way that we're going to do that is we're going to ask GPT to write that function in it for us, because I don't know how to do that. So same idea. We're going to take the code, we're going to paste it in, and then we're going to ask it to modify the code above to include a function that will list out all of the subpage URLs with a number, and ask the user to enter a number. When the user enters a number, the system will send the corresponding text file contents of the subpage. Select it and send the corresponding subpage to a webhook. Oh, it's going to ask us. Interesting. Okay. Send a webhook. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so it's going to ask us to enter in the webhook URL to choose a subject and the web. Okay, interesting. So we're going to have to copy and paste that over in the code. That's actually interesting. So I didn't even ask it to do that, and that I would consider that more as a feature than anything. Okay. Oh, did it not scrape? Okay, we're running into some problems here, I think. Let's see what happens though. 9, enter the webhook URL, okay. Copy, and then we're gonna wanna go here, enter. And it's zipped, all done, okay. Oh, so did it after? Test trigger, let's see what happens. Ha 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 ha. Here we go, baby. Okay, so that worked. So now all this content is in here. Perfect. Okay, so now we can use. So now what's cool about this with the Zapier for OpenAI is it acts more like ChatGPT than it acts as the OpenAI API calls, even though that's what it is. I think. So in this scenario, we're going to take OpenAI, we're going to go send prompt. We're then going to make sure that we're signed in and connect the accounts. We're going to search for DaVinci 3 because that's still the best model for this scenario. We're then going to enter in the content, and then bam, like that. So this gives the bot context. We're going to up this to 750, so we give it some more room. So the token math is always confusing, but from what I've heard, it's one token is 0.75 words. Okay, so this is going to send that, and then we should get a response of question and answers, I think. Maybe? Let's see. Okay, perfect. So it gave us the questions and answers, and it even numbered them. That's nice. Now what we want to do, now let's make a Google Sheet so we can put them somewhere. So I'll make that real quick. All right, so I just made a new document, a new Google Doc. So now I'm going to go back to the Zapier, and then we're going to add another action to Docs, Google Docs, and then we're going to probably add that, probably what we want, yeah, pen text. And then we're going to look for the completion text here. Okay, so now this should send the text here. So let's test it. And there we go. Okay. Let's publish this. Turn that on. I don't think we even need API key at this moment. Okay, but now I want to do it so it does that, but does that for every page. Okay, so let's try that. We're gonna go paste. Then we need to slap this link again. We're gonna paste that in to where it told us to paste it in. Where did it tell us to paste it in? Here. Okay. Oh, theoretically, this should now okay. So now it should wait 30 seconds. Timer. Oh gosh. I think it'd be that difficult. Sent, okay. Nice. I'm just gonna let this go, and then I'll come back when it's completed. All right, so just checking in real quick. It's still going. 30 seconds was probably too much time. Maybe like 20 seconds would be good, or maybe even 15 seconds. Just trying to think of like what the most optimal wait time would be to make sure that we're not running into any rate limits from Zapier or OpenAI. Still working flawlessly. I'll let you know when we're done. All right, so it just finished. Folder site write has been zipped, all done. So the folder is completed and all of the questions have been generated. So 10 questions per page have been generated from OpenAI based off of the information that was scraped. So, I mean, that's essentially it. We essentially did it. And I don't know what the time hack is on that. Maybe a couple hours, maybe like an hour and a half. But like now we have a full-on deliverable. So like if I wanted to do this for another website, all I would have to do now is go in here, click run again, and then run it for another website. And it would give me all of this information like within a few minutes. This is the crazy power of ChatGPT. Like I've been playing around with this and making different products and the ability to create MVPs to kind of showcase the ideas in a use case that people can actually use is going to be the norm. I think so far gone are the times of, just using like a pitch deck or something. Like why not just build a quick version of it? Because you can. In the description below, I'll leave links so that way you can copy a version of this code and paste it into your Replit account so you can just try it out yourself. For instance, you could paste this text into ChatGPT, then you could ask it, modify the code to then scrape all of the text and look for email addresses and then return any email addresses that you find. So this could be a way to do like lead generation scraping through a website based off of the emails that are associated on the website. And these are different things that, you know, anybody could do. You could do this for keyword analysis. You could do this for contact scraping. You could do this for the possibilities are literally endless. And then when you run out of possibilities, you could probably just ask ChatGPT to like come up with more ideas about how to make this better, which is the craziest part. So I hope everybody enjoys all this information and takes advantage of it for you and your business. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me or DM me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. And I'll talk to you in the next one. See ya.